Hello Australia, welcome to episode 688 of The Couch. Big show today. Let me tell you who's coming up. Nisha's talking to a great guy called the Accordion Man. He's performing for us as well very soon, but Nisha's got all the details about where you can catch him and how you can book him. Later on, we've got Talking Customer Service with Chris Moyer. He's coming back and we're going to talk to him very soon. Hilary Lane, naturopath, is coming back as well. Talking Travel with Steve Collins. We look at the Indian Pacific now that it's just started coming to Perth again. And Talking Health with Dr. Joe Kosteridge. We're going to find out why it's important to get your sleep, and also we'll get an update on the vaccine. And the world's greatest shave. We've got a couple of special guests from the Leukemia Foundation, and one of our people are getting their hair shaved off. Hope you can stick around. 688 starts now.
It's showtime on the couch. It's showtime on the couch. You can see it from your house. You can see it from your house. It's showtime on the couch with Fred and the best in town. You can see it from your house. Yeah, it's showtime on the couch. Oh, oh, oh.
Hello Australia, hope you're doing well wherever you are around Australia. Things are getting better with the vaccine and Corona starting to settle down. So I hope you're all well, sitting in front of the TV for the next hour, and I hope you get entertained for the next hour. Let's get straight into it. Nisha's got a very special guest that's back for 2021. His name is Chris Moyer, and he's here to talk customer service. Over to you, Nisha. Welcome back.
Thank you so much, Fred. So good to be back, and hello everybody. Chris, a good friend of the couch. You've been on the show all of last year as well. Welcome.
It's great to be back. Can we still say Happy New Year? That's what I feel
think so.
like.
I feel like, because it's a good few months
We haven't seen
in.
each other, exactly. Yeah.
It's nice. And today we are going to be talking about cliches. And I can just say from knowing Chris last year, he is the furthest from a cliche, which is why it's quite funny for you to be talking about cliches.
Well, totally right. So, I mean, customer service is full of cliches. And I almost feel that for the first episode that I'm back for 2021, we have to go back to basics. So when we think about the topic of service, it is just riddled with cliche phrases and sayings that are so dated. They date back to the 1990s and they're cringeworthy.
Yeah, nearly like you see on memes, on the social media.
Exactly.
So what tops your list?
Well, look, there's a few of them. We'll try and get through all of them today. Right, the first one is they say, service, you've got to raise the bar. Now, again...
What does that mean?
Look, well-intended, raise the bar, but what does it really mean? Firstly, where is the bar currently, number one? So how bad are we or how good are we? And then where are we going to go? Like how far are we raising the bar? What are we trying to achieve? For someone who's trying to be inspired by a cliche phrase like raise the bar, it doesn't do a lot at all.
Well, yeah, you need to know where you're coming from, right?
Exactly.
You need to have a bit of a baseline.
Exactly right. Exactly.
What else is another cliche? I'm sure we've heard
the next one. Have you heard this one before, Nisha? The customer is king.
Oh, I certainly have heard that.
Right,
Sounds like a fresh off an advert.
The customer is king. Now, look, again, nothing wrong with hearing that well-intended phrase, but when you start thinking about the word king, what comes to mind first? Slavery, slaves, servitude, all of those.
Bit outdated.
Exactly, that's right, when you think about a king and a servant. So again, there's
what
nothing
about
wrong.
a queen too, given it's
well, that's right. When we're looking at International Women's Day coming up, we've got, we want to make sure there's diversity. But again, the phrase, it means well, but it's just so out of date.
Okay. All right. And then the third one.
Oh, the third one. All right. Surprise and delight. Ooh. I always think surprise and delight. How would a 15-year-old boy working at Woolworths or Coles surprise and delight? Does he go boo?
That could be quite funny.
Do you scare? Surprise! You've got to scare someone, don't you? And what does delight mean as well? Again, well intended.
And surprise and delight in the same sentence is interesting.
Yeah, can you be surprising and delighted together? So yeah, and I almost feel like I've got to change my voice and go surprising, delightful. It sounds too fruity.
I'm having a flash of what it'd be like being trained by you.
Yeah.
Okay, number 4.
No, next one. Exceed expectations. Now, again, great, we've got to exceed expectations. But what about, Nisha, when you don't want your expectations exceeded? What if you just want your expectations met?
Good point.
You know,
Absolutely.
what's going on?
I don't want the bells and whistles. I just want what I paid for.
Exactly right. And there are many situations where it can be so ambiguous as to what they're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
So again, you know, nothing wrong with doing more, but you know, what happens if you say to someone, exceed an expectation, but then all of a sudden, you know, the person doesn't want that expectation exceeded, so you can't have it as a mantra.
I haven't thought about it that deeply. This is so important. And what's
deep.
another one?
Well, the other one's very similar. Let's go above and beyond.
Above and
so
beyond.
what does that mean? Do a higher standard to what you've normally done and do a lot more of it, a lot longer. Is that right?
Yeah,
Above and beyond.
And then that depends on where you start as well, doesn't it? Because
Exactly.
if you're starting way back here, it's not really that far forward
Exactly
either.
right. So above and beyond, it doesn't, you know, again, we want to do more for our customers, absolutely. But again, above and beyond, it doesn't really help us understand sort of, you know, what we need to do.
Okay, and are there any more?
There's two more quick ones. Yeah, this
sure.
one's a very short one.
Yeah.
I always find it cringeworthy when I'm about to go on stage and the manager stands in front of his workers and says, or her workers, and says, Chris is going to help us create wow. He's going to deliver wow. Like, so let's be wow.
pressure.
Wow. We're in a studio, we're in showbiz, you know, wow.
So how do you do that, Chris?
But, well, wow. I mean, it's like surprise and delight, but what is a wow moment? And do we even say wow anymore? Have you ever gone, wow, I guess you could say, wow, this is awesome. So again, it's what the customer will say, but I don't think you have an intention to create this wow. Yeah.
I can't picture the objectives in my head
No.
of what that presentation
Exactly.
would look like. Do you rephrase that cleverly?
Yeah, it's a hard one. It really is. And then the final one, this is probably the biggest, so I've saved it till last.
Okay, cool.
The customer is always right.
Well, they're not.
What if they are? What if they're not? I don't know. I just think, to be honest, and this is probably the most serious, just by asking that question, by saying the customer is always right, it almost makes it that, you know, you would question, but what if they're not? And I think we don't want to have people that are very impressionable, learning service, education, service training, to be told the customer is always right. And the first thing they're going to say is, well, what happens if they're not? So it's really, again, well intended, but it doesn't mean much in reality in terms of delivery.
Well, yeah, and stranger danger too. Not everyone's
Exactly.
good at this. So, cleverly, when we think of all the cliches.
Look, okay, if I'm inspirational and motivational today to finish off this segment, I'm going to look in the camera in a second and I'm going to put all of those words together and I'm going to try and make it as cringeworthy as possible. And again, they're going to sound amazing, but it's going to be really, really cheesy. So where am I going to look straight at the camera here and say,
camera here, camera one.
okay, everybody listening, it's time to raise the bar for customer service because the customer is king, and we're going to do so by surprising and delighting them and exceeding their expectations by going above and beyond. We're going to create these wow moments because, after all, the customer is always right.
Oh, well done. That
together.
was very sweet. You did so well. Everyone was you.
And everyone's impressed, but again, what does it actually mean? I've just said a lot of rubbish just then.
So the key message here for our audience, I mean, I'm getting it. I'm sure just what does the audience take away from this, though?
I think the audience needs to take away that service has been the same for hundreds and hundreds of years, but the way we go about service and the way we go about educating it, we have to transition from those 90s and 80s cliches. So that's kind of the key message that we need to take forward, that, you know, we've got to drop those ambiguous and cliche terms and start looking at, well, what actually helps people change and be of service to others.
Wonderful. And I like that be in service and connection. So important given the context of what we're in at the moment in the world. Thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure.
And really looking forward to being able to obviously have you on board again soon. But first of all, I'm sure there's a few audience members out there thinking, how do I make contact with Chris to find out more?
Totally. So jump online, chrissmoyer.com or chris@chrissmoyer.com is the email. And I'd love to hear from you and chat further.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for coming.
My
and
pleasure.
we'll see you very soon.
Can't wait for it.
Now, if you've missed anything at all, you can go to the Facebook page, our Couch Facebook page, that is. But for now, it's back to you, Fred.
Thank you very much, Anisha. And Chris, I'm going to correct you there, because when I was doing my Medicare course, and I'll be very quick here, we used to say the customer is not always right, but they are always the customer. And that basically means forget whether they're right or wrong, they're always right, because we want them back. And the other one was, do you remember the one that used to say under promise and over deliver? What happened to that?
I know, if we had more time, I should have probably put that one in there as well. Is it right?
I'm just customer service. Thank you very much. How's the business going and everything?
Look, it's been a good start to the year. It's such an important topic in the midst of COVID and how we can serve our customers. So
well, I look forward forward to having you back
Yeah.
with fantastic customer service topics every month.
Thanks,
Chris
Fred.
Moyer,
Thank you.
to Nisha. We'll talk to her very soon. We have got a music act coming up, a fantastic man called Mr. Accordion Man. He's been everywhere. He does weddings, dances, parties and all. He's centre stage. Nisha will talk to him later on, but here's his performance. Welcome back to the couch. Thanks for watching today. We do appreciate everybody watching, and thank you to all those people who watch the couch on a Monday night on our Facebook page. We really do appreciate over 5,000 people watching it online, and it's great to have you there. Now, let's welcome back a lady who's been with us all of last year. She's back again this year. She's talking about the vaccine. She's a pharmacist. She's also a naturopath. And she's also talking to our very own Nisha. Over to you, Nisha.
Wonderful. Thank you, Fred, and welcome back to the couch, Hilary.
Thank you very much, Nisha. It's good to be back.
How's your start of the year been? It's Happy New Year.
Very hectic.
Very hectic.
Very hectic.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to get healthy.
And
They can't travel, so let's get healthy, which is a really good thing.
what an opportunity.
What an opportunity. And let's keep healthy because we've got autumn now, and then we've got winter, and we've got cold and flu season coming. But before that, we've actually got COVID and continuing.
And the vaccine has caused, I guess, quite a bit of conversation in the media, as it should. It's, a lot of thoughts about who should take it, when I should, what will happen to me. Really important to be not just mentally prepared, but also physiologically prepared for taking the vaccine. Talk to us about that.
Well, you need to get any vaccine, you need to be as healthy as possible. So your immune system will actually go and kick in the immune cells when you get the vaccine, so that you will be immune to the COVID.
So they're actually injecting it into your system, right?
Yes,
Is that
that's
correct?
right.
Yeah.
And then you will make white cells in your immune system, and your liver is involved there, and your spleen and your bones. Your whole immune system's involved, and you need to get the side effects not happening. If you've got a cold or a cough or a flu or something else, just don't get the COVID immunisation.
So this is really important, isn't it? Because I think a lot of vulnerable populations are probably the most scared about maybe taking the vaccine.
Exactly.
What would you say to them? I mean, what approach would you take to be extra careful?
Let's make sure that you're actually really healthy and have got back to eating healthily after Christmas.
Okay.
And a lot of people are still eating the sugary things and drinking alcohol, and it's time to stop. And it's time to clean up and have your lovely veggies and your fruits and a little bit of protein and lots of good water, not with your meals, but away, half an hour away from your meals. And if you have a bit of...
Fred's listening to your advice. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but he's in the
God, I love water. I love water.
Oh, yes.
Drink it all the time. Thank you, Hilary.
Yeah.
I'm not an alcohol drinker, unfortunately.
That's good. Teaching him well.
So lots of hydration.
Lots of hydration.
And living out if you had New Year's resolutions, sort of trying to live out some of those goals that you've set.
Yeah, that's right. And also then after the immunisation, you've got another one 6 weeks later.
Oh, okay.
So you've really got, it's usually two jabs.
Okay.
I think in Australia we'll only have the 2-jab one. I don't think we'll have the single jab one. I think that's America.
Okay, and who do you think should have it? So if audience sitting out there thinking, my child is 6 or my grandma is 85, are they the vulnerable population?
They certainly are, yes.
Yeah.
They won't be rolling it out to the children at all at this stage because they're actually thinking of getting a children's version of it.
Right, okay.
Which is good.
Yes, yeah.
And they don't know what proportion, what it's going to be yet. But I think if you do get the opportunity to get the vaccine, get it, please do. And just be healthy afterwards. Don't be silly and go and celebrate that you've had both doses and go and have a bottle of champagne and a hamburger and everything else. No, just be healthy for a few weeks afterwards.
Or more, hopefully.
Or more, yeah. And then when you've actually done a few weeks of being healthy, it'll more or less stay.
So all of the reports overseas, because obviously it's been rolled out overseas earlier, have you heard generally positive reports, or have there been some challenges? Or?
Oh, there have been the odd person's going to react to it. I could get an odd person here reacting to any immunisation. But if you're generally healthy and you look after yourself, there'd be very few people who have an allergic reaction to it. The second one, I believe, can be a little bit more sore, can be a bit more headachy, but hydrate and have the day off work maybe with that second one and rest.
Okay, good. And as a pharmacist or background in pharmacy as well, pharmacist and naturopath, I guess you get the opportunity to work one-on-one with individuals as, mentally preparing, physically preparing, and then afterwards.
Yes.
What are some tips? Because I know we've got some very motivated people. Last year we were talking about setting goals. What happens if we start to wane a little bit, getting to March? What can we do?
Well, I think having a diary is super important. But you've also got to write down your goals and you've got to keep on looking at what you've written and you've got to say, well, have I actually reached that this week?
So accountability and maybe sharing them with someone as well?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. But
fantastic.
having a list behind the toilet door is a really good idea.
Ah, I wondered why there was so much signage behind toilet doors. That makes good sense. Somewhere you have to go, right?
Somewhere you have to go and you can have the list up there and you say, oh, well, have I done that? Have I done that? Yes, I have. No, I haven't. Well, what am I going to do about it?
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So sleep's also really important?
Oh, absolutely. Most definitely. Most people need about 8 hours sleep. There are people who say, oh, well, I only need 5 hours sleep. No, actually you don't. You need more than that.
What would you recommend?
I would say 8 hours.
Wonderful. So good sleeping pattern.
Yes.
And we've got some very good motivation to keep our goals going.
Yep.
Anything else that you would like to share with the audience before we go today? Time goes so fast.
I know. Just keep active. Exercise really helps. Joining up with other people. Some people have been almost in solitary confinement with COVID. Join a group. Now, we're very lucky in Perth.
We are.
I have family in London in severe lockdown. But compared to us, that is terrible. We are so lucky. Just get out there in the sunshine, get your vitamin D whilst you can.
Wonderful. And stay connected, and obviously thinking of all of our Australians around the country who are in lockdown and overseas, all of our family and friends as well.
That's right.
So where can we find out more if we've got more questions for you?
The Ultra Health Centre, 215 Selby Street in Floreat.
Okay, great.
And 9383 7930. Or ultrahealthcentre.com.au.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Hilary. Always great to have you on the show.
Great to be here,
And you'll be back on very soon, I'm sure, with another exciting health topic.
Oh, yes.
And maybe a few of us have had the jab by then so we can compare notes.
We can compare notes.
So we'll see you very soon. And for now, it's back to you, Fred.
Thank you very much, Nisha. Just a quick question to Hilary. Hilary, did I hear right that the pharmacists will be giving the general public the injections? Is that what the government's working on?
I'm not sure yet.
But that's what they're negotiating through the Pharmacy
Guild?
Guild?
They're sort of negotiating it because they do the flu vaccine. But for the moment, they're doing special clinics. Like today, there's a special clinic in Perth.
Yep.
But you have to be invited to it.
Okay, so if you could just bring in about 12 of the injections next time you come in, that would be lovely. You can do mine on air. Maybe. You never know. Thank you to Hillary. Don't forget, she's very well informed. Please support her through the website that we've put up on screen. We'll see her again next month with another great topic. Now, talking about great topics, great charities, Melanoma March is coming up. The ability for people to get involved, and they're doing something a little bit different this year. They're asking people to leave their footprint on melanoma. Check out the promo because we've got a guest coming in next week. Here it is.
It's not what we planned for our 10th Melanoma March. We can't do physical events, but you can still leave your footprint on melanoma. We need 15,000 Aussies to step up and buy a $30 digital footprint. That's one for every Australian diagnosed with melanoma this year. Go to melanomamarch.org.au and buy your footprint. Personalise it with your message or dedication and share on socials to encourage others to buy footprints. Help us cover Australia with footprints to support our research and bring us one step closer to 0 deaths from melanoma. Buy now at melanomamarch.org.au.
There you go, folks. A very important message. We will have a guest next week on the couch to talk about that as well. And stay tuned, okay? Please support them. Check out the website before next week. Somebody that's checking out travel, because it's coming back in very small sort of pieces, is Steve Collins.
Not so small now.
He's going to tell us where to go as well.
I'm going to tell you where to go.
And he's doing it officially. Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Nice to have you back.
Good. Going from a naturopath to sociopath. What a great
Can I say, I love your shirt.
Thank
and
you.
I know you've got a new supplier.
Yes.
So it looks really good. Love the colours.
I like the colours and I like the pattern. Of course, nothing looks good on my body, but we try.
I think it looks lovely. I love the colours.
Thank you, Fred.
What are we talking about today?
We're talking about, travel's coming back. The Indian Pacific has started up again it's been over a year,
Sydney
I think.
to Perth, right?
Well, first of all, it's going from, it's a couple of days ago, went from Adelaide, where it's based, to Perth, and now it's going Perth to Sydney, Sydney to Perth, blah, 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 back and forth.
I did see on the news it's been stuck in Adelaide for about a year because of COVID, is that right?
That's exactly right, yes. But now that all the borders are open, well, really, there's Western Australia, South Australia and New South Wales, so they're pretty much open. They've been open for a while. And it is a fantastic trip. I've done it a few times. And one of the great reasons for doing the Indian Pacific is you get a wonderful impression of just how big Australia is. When you go from the Indian Ocean to the Pacific Ocean or vice versa, it doesn't matter. It's just a magic trip. It's like cruising on wheels. Now, when I did it, I started in Sydney and came over to Perth on it. Of course, Sydney is a magic city. It's just such a beautiful thing. That Opera House, that is the most famous building of the 20th century. It was,
amazing history, isn't it?
It's just amazing history.
And Paul Hogan painted it, actually, didn't he?
Yes, and this is Central Station where it starts. Now, the train is so big, it actually takes up 2 platforms. You're told where your carriage is and you go to that platform, and then just before it leaves, they see that, they take it out, they take one side out and click it onto the other, and away you go. And you start up and you head up through the Blue Mountains, which is about an hour out of Sydney. This is a lounge car. Now, this is where a lot of the action takes place. We're just over the Blue Mountains here, and this we went to Bathurst, and this is Broken Hill. Now, this is just close to the South Australian border, and it's a magnificent place. You actually sleep on the train. You get there the morning after you depart, and it's got a lot of history, Broken Hill. It's a bit like Kalgoorlie in as much as Broken Hill, and we're in Adelaide now, so it takes you
Steve, who actually owns the Indian Pacific?
It's called Journey Beyond.
So it's not the government.
It's not a government. No,
because I was asked that and I didn't know.
And Journey Beyond. Well, they also run the Garn, which runs from Adelaide to Darwin.
Train.
But they run the Rottnest ferries, and there's a whole pile of stuff that they run.
Company.
They do a lot of stuff.
They know their stuff when it comes to
travel. They really do know their stuff, and they've got this. One of the great things about the Indian Pacific, it is just so comfortable when you get on it.
I saw some footage on 9 News the other night, and I have to say I agree with you. It looks, for people who haven't been, what can you tell them about how good it is?
Well, now it depends which class you get. They've got red class, which is where you sit up. I would not I would not advise you
That's
to
just
do that.
in the chair.
Well, yeah, but that's because people, like you may want to go just from Sydney to, say, Broken Hill or whatever. That's
Few
fine
hours.
for that. Or Broken Hill to Adelaide, it's fine. But if you want to do the whole 3 days, it's actually 4 days, 3 nights. And here we are. This is leaving Adelaide. We're out on the Nullarbor Plain. This is Cook. This used to be a bit of a community, but now it's very, very small. I think there's only a couple of people, about 2 people live there anymore. As you can see, it's pretty much deserted. That was the old schoolhouse, etc. I don't know what they are. I think that may be the old jail. I'm not entirely sure. But they always stop there because they've got to add water to it. And so you spend about an hour in Cook and and this is the dining
very
car.
luxurious.
Now, one of the great things about this trip is the food. The food is absolutely fantastic. And if you go gold class or platinum class, the food, the wine, the drinks are all included, and it is really good. And they use Australian products. Now, this is a Nullarbor. Look at it. I mean, it looks like there's not a lot to see. That's Ricky Lee Coulter. She was on the trip with me.
Oh, wow.
She's a close friend. And then this is Rollout. This is in Western Australia, and they stop here again, and you have a special dinner there as well. It's on an old farm station there. And this is the last stop before we get to Kalgoorlie. But there's so much to do. There's a lot of action. Night time in the lounge is really party time, where you have a fantastic time there. They have entertainers on board and stuff.
So I guess
here we are in Cal.
If you're going to travel on the Indian Pacific, you get the food if you pay the right ticket.
Depending on which class.
The
If you're in gold or platinum or whatever, yes, it's all included. Now, you can have a one berth. The staff are fantastic.
Beautiful.
That's us. You can have a one-person berth cabin or a two-person berth cabin. Or if you go platinum, you've actually got like a double or a queen.
And do they have their
bed.
own toilets and showers, or only certain tables?
In the doubles,
Yep.
you have your own toilet and shower. If you've got a single, then you share. There's enough to share. It's absolutely private. You don't share with anybody else. It's just
So
once
you can
get in,
choose the package that
you
suits your
choose
budget,
the
I
package
guess.
that you want and the budget that you want.
What sort of people do you think these sort of holidays on the Indian Pacific? What sort of,
Well,
especially with
it's like a cruise on wheels. Certainly, it's a lot of older people. You get it used to be, pre-COVID days, a lot of international visitors, particularly Europeans.
Well, you stop
Europeans love to
everywhere.
do it because they can't do a trip like this in Europe. For instance, if you did the Orient Express, I mean, it doesn't go anywhere near as far as the Indian Pacific, but it's mainly an older demographic. It is very relaxed. The staff are absolutely fabulous.
Yep.
But you'd think. And there's tours included as well. For instance, when you get to Adelaide, for instance, there's tours of Broken Hill, there's tours of Adelaide, and I think nowadays you can also go do a tour of the Barossa Valley.
Beautiful.
I opted to go to the Central Market because you would love that.
Yep.
To my mind, the Central Market in Adelaide is the best food market in Australia.
A lot of
It's
variety.
extraordinary. Then you stop at Cook and Rollout, and you also stop at Cal to
Now
do a tour.
we did see it's opened up again. It's come to Perth only a few days ago.
Yep.
How do people get involved if they want to go online, or maybe
If you
they
go
want to
online,
book?
Journey Beyond is a place to go.
Yep.
I'm sure that those travel agents that are still operating, they could book it for you. And I know my local travel agent, they had to shut up their shop, but they are still operating. It's just they operate from home. So if you have a trusted travel agent, they probably need the business, so I'd go through them. But you can do it online as well.
Wonderful way to actually get back into travelling.
Yep.
They want us to wrap it up. Steve, we've got a couple of websites for you, because I know next time you come in, we'll talk more about Tell Me Where to Go.
Yep, tellmewheretogo.com is a new website I'm involved in. And the reason why I'm involved in this is I produce a lot of podcasts for them.
What can people see if they go on that website?
Well, if they go on that website, they'll see a story. They'll listen to a podcast that is that is often narrated by the person who wrote the story.
Okay.
And they're like a mini travel documentary. We have videos. So what you've got these different platforms so you can enjoy travel in different ways. You can enjoy seeing great photos, hearing fabulous stories, looking at good videos. So it's a little bit different from most travel websites.
Fantastic.
It's
And are we
fully
looking,
interactive.
a lot of people ask the question to me and also to you, when are we going to be able to fly again internationally? And I know we can fly domestically
Well,
again.
Qantas has announced that they'll be flying internationally again from October. The big thing is, as Hilly was talking about, the vaccines. Once enough people are vaccinated, there
It's
are
safe to
some
travel.
countries talking about bubbles.
Yep.
Thailand is talking about it. The Seychelles are talking
Taiwan
about
as
it.
well, and Singapore.
Taiwan and also New Zealand and a lot of the South Pacific
Would be
islands.
great.
I can see in the future, a couple of months away, but I can see that we will be travelling again, not to all countries, but to a selected number of countries
It's a good
that
start.
have got the coronavirus under control.
Good on you. Steve Collins, of course, tellmewheretogo.com. We saw the website there, and we'll talk more in a few weeks' time, maybe.
Absolutely.
A couple of weeks' time, we'll get Chris. I keep calling him Chris today, but it's Steve Collins, of course, travel extraordinaire, travel reporter, travel writer. Check out his website. Lots of interesting facts there. And if you want anything, if you want to know anything, write to us here at The Couch, and we'll pass it on to Steve as well. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you,
See you
Fred.
in a couple of weeks. We'll take a break. Dr. Kosteridge is coming in after the break, talking about sleep and also the vaccine. See you after the break. Well done. Always a lot of fun having Steve Collins on the show, and that train trip looks amazing. I did ask Steve, how much will it cost? He said starts about $1,200, just in case you're thinking of doing the Indian Pacific. Somebody else has joined us back on the couch this year, and we're really honoured. It is Dr. Joe Kosteridge. He is our local professional doctor on the show. We don't have any unprofessional doctors, of course, but Dr. Joe is back, and he's talking to Nisha, and they're talking about the vaccine and also the importance of sleep. Over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Fred. And it is very lovely to have you back on the couch.
Good to be with you, Nisha and Fred. Nice to see you again.
We know we're in safe hands when we get tips and advice from you.
Well, like Fred said, we try to be professional about these things.
Absolutely. So sleep is a huge area, and we're talking about that today. So I think that'll be a nice natural start, and then maybe we talk a bit about the vaccine after that, if you're comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so sleep. Why is it so important?
Look, it sounds obvious, but we will spend more time sleeping through our lives than anything else that we do. Most adults are going to need around about 8 hours sleep per night, which you think about is a third of 24 hours. So that's a third of your life. If you then add up, generally children and teenagers sleep more than that, and as we get later in life, more. So it's something that we spend a lot of our time doing. And it's the body's restorative mechanism. So if you think about it, when we're asleep, the heart's still pumping, the lungs are still breathing, the kidneys are still filtering, everything's continuing. What's switched off is the conscious mind. And to a degree, the senses are switched off, although if there's a loud enough noise or a bright enough light, it may wake us up. And obviously people have different levels of sensitivity. During that time, it's thought that the brain is actually doing a little bit of a sweep and clean out. And again, it's not as well understood as other areas of medicine. What we do know, though, is if we don't get enough, there are effects. And this latest research out of China, of all places, has shown, not surprisingly, this is not the first time that it's been shown, is when they do cognitive tests, so just, testing on people who've had enough sleep versus those who haven't, guess what? The people who've had enough sleep tend to perform better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in the psychology realm, there's some depressive symptomology that's directly linked to lack of sleep. So it's one of the questions in the diagnostic manual. So really important. What are some of the other effects if people aren't sleeping? Because I'm sure some of the audience are sitting there thinking, I only get 4 or 5 hours of sleep, but I seem to be okay.
Now, first off, people are different. It's like people have different, hair colour and eye colour, and people are different heights. Some people will be okay with lesser amounts of sleep, and some people need more. But one of the interesting phraseologies is that people often say, I get away with, which inherently sort of says, well, really, I sort of actually know that I need a little bit more, but somehow I keep functioning. And the human body is surprisingly forgiven. It can function when maybe we think it shouldn't do or it might otherwise not. But also, often people don't have a comparison. They might say, look, I'm doing fine, I'm only getting 5 hours sleep per night, doesn't seem to affect me. Perhaps in some instances, some of those people, if they did get more sleep, they might sort of think, wow, I don't actually realise how much of a slog it was for me.
Yeah.
The same thing sometimes occurs with people if they lose weight and they say, look, I've lost 10 or 15 kilograms, I feel I've got more energy now. It'll be the equivalent of getting up in the morning, slapping 15 kilos on your body and going out for a walk all day, and then you'd come back and think, gee, I'm more tired than I thought I might be. Same principle applies with sleep.
So is it really important that, I guess, rather than sort of try and imagine what it will be like, is actually do something about it if we know that the research is telling us this? I mean, it's not as easy and black and white as that, but obviously being able to go to your GP and have a conversation, understand your unique circumstances, that trajectory?
Yeah, look, I think sleep is one of those areas where probably self-help is going to be more useful than a trip to the doctor on the simple basis that sleeping tablets are not the answer. And sleeping tablets can be quite addictive and create their own set of problems. So short term, if people are really struggling, use very, very short term. Sometimes, back in the old days when people used to travel for jet lag, they do have a role. Melatonin, which is the body's sleep hormone, so it's not a sleeping tablet as such.
Sure.
That is an option. But, things like guided relaxations, meditations, getting a nighttime routine, prioritising sleep, actually saying, yeah, I'm actually going to set aside time for sleep rather than, it doesn't matter if I don't. Simple things like, it sounds obvious, but having a dark room, having it quiet, switching off screens at least half an hour before going to sleep, getting into those habits,
Wonderful.
Those are really what make the difference. And again, finding what works for you.
Fantastic. Always so informative. I hope everyone felt like I should have been writing some of that down then. I'll rewatch. So I'm sure one topic that I guess is causing what I hear out there, some sleepless nights perhaps for some, is this vaccine coming in. Maybe for some, maybe not for others. But what's your thoughts on the vaccine and the next stages of rollout?
Yeah, look, what we've seen internationally is in Israel, they've found something like a 90% reduction in serious infections after cohorts have had the vaccine. And I think this is a really important point, that the aim of the vaccine is not to eliminate this virus. Anybody who says the virus is going to be eliminated is frankly delusional. It's not going to go away. What we don't want is serious illnesses. Now, to give a silly example, if the virus even from the outset had caused an itchy finger, we'd have never had lockdowns, we wouldn't need masks. People said, well, I don't mind if my finger's itchy for a few days. So it's the severity of the illness that was the concern. Now, history will record that it actually wasn't as severe as had initially been predicted, and in fact I was reading some stats today that suggested the infection fatality rate's probably about 0.26%, which is comparable to seasonal flu. However, the idea of the vaccine is to reduce serious infections. Now there's a phased rollout in this country. There've already been something in excess of 80 to 90 million doses administered in the United States. So what that means, people are saying, well, this is new, should we be worried about it? We're not certainly the first in line.
Yes, so we can learn from the trials.
Given that internationally, well in excess of 100 million doses, it could be a few hundred million. It can't give a figure. And look, every day it's going up. In America, they've administered probably 3.5 to 4 times the equivalent of the entire Australian population, and they are also seeing steep declines in rates of infection. Equally, that's sort of also being attributed to some other factors, including the belief, and I think it's probably quite valid, that there may be far more people out there who've been exposed to the virus and didn't get any symptoms and have immunity than first thought.
Yeah, that makes sense.
In this country, we're going to see a phased rollout. Already it started with aged care residents, aged care workers, certain what's classed frontline people, for example, those working in border security. The next phase is going to be people variably aged over the age of 80 and 70, Indigenous people over the age of 55, and certain other people with particular illnesses or comorbidities. And then it works through to the next 2 phases, the last phase being, and correctly so, people who are otherwise fit, well and healthy, who really aren't at particular risk of COVID anyway.
So very well thought out process, really, to take care of our vulnerable first and that comorbidity risk as well.
And that's exactly as it should be. And I think the further we go with this, we really need to keep reminding ourselves that this virus, very, very, in a similar way to the flu, is predominantly an issue for vulnerable people, those over the age of 80. The mean age of death in this country from COVID is 82, which is exactly the same as the life expectancy, and those who are vulnerable in other ways. It is not, by and large, and there are exceptions, but it's not a threat to people who are otherwise fit, well and healthy.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being so informative. Where can people find out more? Because I'm sure there's plenty of questions that people have.
Look, they can go to the website, drjoetoday.com, and there they can sort of link to the Twitter and the sort of other socials, and we're putting out a newsletter this year. I've actually sort of dialed it back to once a month. I think people get enough stuff in their inbox, but you go to the website and see what's going on.
Well, very thoughtful. Thank you so much, Dr. Joe. We love having you on, and we'll see you next month for your next segment.
Thanks, Nisha. Thanks, Fred.
Okay, so if you missed any of that, you can, of course, go onto the Couch Facebook page, and we'll have links up there too. But for now, it's back to you, Fred.
Thank you very much, Tanisha and Dr. Joe. And of course, it's always amazing how Dr. Joe can break it down to simple terms and leave the jargon out so we can all understand. Do write to us if you've got any questions for Dr. Joe as well. We'd love to pass them on. We're going to take a break. After the break, we're talking about the world's greatest shave, and we've got a couple of special guests. See you after the break, only on Foxtel. See you then.
Connect with The Couch online through Facebook, Instagram and YouTube.
Welcome back to The Couch. Earlier in the show, first segment, we actually introduced Mr. Accordion Man. Now, he's an amazing guy called Frank Miranda. We've actually got him centre stage today with our very own Nisha. Nisha, over to you.
Thank you so much, Fred. Frank Miranda, or otherwise known around Perth as Mr. Accordion Man.
Hello, Ning. How are you?
Welcome. I'm very well, and how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yes.
Now, you're Mr. Accordion Man, and you have a very, very lovely accordion there, which I'll let the audience know now because they're probably getting excited. You will be playing for us today?
Yes, I'll do one tune at the end there, somewhere along the line.
Awesome. Now, do you know what's really important? Everyone that comes on the show, we like to understand your passion and how you got into what you do.
So the passion of the accordion. Okay, I've always liked music since I was about 6 years old, and I started learning the accordion. But then as I got older, my friends, they were playing drums and guitars, and so it wasn't cool to play the accordion. So I stopped playing the accordion, and then I tried to learn drums, but I just didn't like it. So I went back to this, and and then from there it just took off, sort of thing. So
fantastic. Yeah. And you do have a different day job, and this is something you do out of joy. Is that right?
Out of joy, passion, because I really love music, and I love the sound of the accordion because it's like a one-man band. Yeah.
So what have you been doing? Where in Perth might everyone have seen you?
Well, today, for instance, I was at the Hyde Park Festival this morning. Did a small wedding this afternoon. At the Windsor Hotel on Friday night. I've been at Pasture in the Valley. Plenty of events around the place, a lot of home parties. Yeah. It's just crazy, yeah.
And what do you see when you're walking around? So I can think of a restaurant I was at recently where there was someone playing the accordion. I remember the passion, and it's nearly like you can read people and you kind of walk up to them and get them more engaged.
Yes, yeah. If I see a couple or someone clapping along, I sort of tend to go towards them because I know I'll get a bit more of a reaction from them. And I just love seeing people being happy and smiling and and I also invite them to come up and try and have a dance even at a restaurant.
Awesome. How important is that now? Because you mentioned earlier offset to me that you've gotten busier over the last 3 to 6 months. So post-COVID, important to get involved.
Because of COVID, as sad as it is and everything, but I've seemed to have got busier because people can't go away, they can't fly Bali or whatever, so they're having parties at home, all that kind of stuff. And they're loving it at the moment. So.
Now, do you have any funny stories? You've definitely told me one about how you got your name that you can quickly share with the audience.
One of my first jobs I did as a solo accordionist, I was at a restaurant and this little boy came up to me and I only had my scarf, I didn't have my hat or anything. And
I love the look, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much. And he tugged on my scarf and he said, "Hey, Mr. Accordion Man." And I thought, hey, that's a good name. Yeah. And so I went off to do my business cards and then, Facebook, Instagram and my webpage, which is MrAccordionman.com.au, by the way.
Yeah, perfect. And now you are very humble because you were telling me your partner before, you were getting some text messages and maybe some rock star stuff. Are we going to see the accordion come into full popularity soon, do you think?
I'm sure it will.
Yeah?
No, it already is. No. Yeah, it's funny. I get some lovely messages and fantastic comments and that. It's all positive and it's really great out there. People just love it. Yeah.
And so, I guess in a bit of a summary, if we're going to engage you, because I'm sure there's a lot of our audience thinking they're looking at having you at their events.
Yep.
What types of events do you cover and what can they expect?
Anything. Weddings, parties, festivals, wineries. I do a lot of things like that. Yeah, just a bit of everything. Yeah.
Wonderful. So they can go to mraccordianman.com.au. But look, thank you so much for joining us on the couch and in advance. Because you're going to be playing a lovely song that we're all going to be dancing in the background to. So we'll have you back very soon. But for now, I'm going to skedaddle because the audience wants to watch you. Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you very much, Nisha, and thank you to Frank as well. What a wonderful accordion player. Please remember you can book him at any time. Check out his website. Support him. He's a local West Australian. We love to support local here on the couch as well. But we also love to support local charities. Now, the world's greatest shave, thanks to the Leukemia Foundation, has been operating for many, many years, probably longer than I've been alive. They do a great job in regards to cancer and patients of cancer, cancer research and much more. We're going to talk to some very special people about the world's greatest shave. And for those people who don't know, there's two special dates, 14th and 15th of March. Keep those in your diary. But also, if you can't do those days, don't worry about it. You can do it all year round now. To tell us more about that, we've actually got someone from the Leukemia Foundation sitting right next to me. Her name is Lauren Stacey. Thank you for coming in today, Lauren.
Cool, thanks for having me.
We'll talk more about the World's Greatest Shave and Leukemia Foundation with you in a moment. But over on the middle of the set there, we've got a couple of lovely people, great people. Tell us about Jackie O'Connor first. Jackie, if you can tell us about yourself. I know you're a hairdresser, but your involvement with the World's Greatest Shave.
Yeah, so I opened my salon about 15 years ago, myself and my partner Jenny Rowson, and sadly we lost Jenny to cancer 10 years ago, and this is something we've just taken part of every year, just to keep her name alive and to show our bit towards the foundation.
Tell us about the actual shop. Where can we find you?
So we're in Rockingham, Kent Street, down on the foreshore, Rowson O'Connor Hair.
And you can do all types of
hair
work.
Everything.
In other words, you can cut my hair, you can colour it.
Colour, extensions.
And, anything at all?
Yeah, we can.
And what days are you open? And do you have a website?
Yeah, we're open every day except for Sunday, basically. We've also got a special day next Saturday if anyone wants to come down, where we will be shaving heads.
Beautiful.
We've got a staff member, Tracy, who's shaving her head off.
And people can give you donations?
They can get some glitter in their hair, some funky colours, anything like that. So
sounds fantastic. And again, what's the name of the shop?
Rowson O'Connor Hair.
We won't forget that one. Carlos Mendez. I don't know if you're a victim today or whether you're a great volunteer. We're going to talk about your specific case and your story and why you're involved. It is a great service that you're doing today because we're going to actually shave your hair off, Carlos, aren't we?
Correct.
What made you want to shave everything off? Because you're actually shaving your eyebrows as well.
I'm shaving my eyebrows, and I think I decided to shave my eyebrows because I don't have much hair to shave off.
Can you show us?
I'll show you.
I'll quickly put it back on. No, that's okay. I actually said to Carlos when he walked in, have they already half done it? So make it quicker. You know, like when you do a cooking segment, people say, here's one we prepared earlier on. But that's your hair is normally like that.
Correct.
So tell us why you're involved with the World's Greatest Shave.
This is my 4th time going into the World's Greatest Shave, raising money for a very good cause. This year is a bit more special to me. My daughter got diagnosed with leukemia a few months ago, back in January. Yeah, so I hadn't done this for a couple of years, so I decided to get the team together again. A couple of the people that are on my team have done this 3 times now with me, and yeah, we just decided to go back into it. And you know, a few visits to the hospital, and I see the way people are treated, the nurses and everybody over there in the hospital treat the patients in there, and it's actually quite amazing to witness. They're very compassionate,
they do an amazing
very
job.
friendly. They do an amazing job looking after people, making them feel happy and keep them positive. So,
And can I ask you how your daughter's going? How's she travelling?
she's doing very well. She's actually in remission right now. She's undergoing a trial at Fiona Stanley Hospital, and that's working very well for her. She's still got a long road ahead of her, obviously, but yeah, it's all pointing in the right direction, and it's very positive for the outcome.
Good on you. Well, thank you for doing this, Carlos. We really appreciate it. And you're a great volunteer as well, because I think it's nice to show people it's a small thing to do for such a great cause. What we might get you to do, Jackie, if you want to start to shave Carlos, I'll start introducing Lauren as well. Lauren, tell us how many people that leukemia affects, if you know those figures.
Well, 47 people are diagnosed every day. And 1 person loses their life every 2 hours.
Wow, that's a lot of statistics.
Yeah.
Have we? And obviously, in the last 12 months, we've had COVID. The work that the Leukemia Foundation does, has it kept going? Has it kept?
It has. We've actually seen a 30% increase in demand for our service, but we've also had a devastating shortfall because of the pandemic.
Money is always a shortfall, and I wish there could be more money for Leukemia Foundation and cancer research, and obviously we do the best we can. The World's Greatest Shave. Tell people why we do it. What's it for?
This is so important. As you know, we're not for profit. The money that you raise, every single dollar that you raise, goes towards ensuring people have access, and that's the most important thing, access to the care and support they need. Yeah. So that's things like transport, accommodation, support services, as well as life-saving research. So every dollar counts.
Exactly, and you've got a little bit of a story to tell as well. So you're not just a staff member at the Leukemia Foundation, you've got a bit of a cancer background yourself.
I do, yeah. In 2015 I was diagnosed with cancer. I was sick for about 4 months, and finally they took it seriously, and it turned out to be Hodgkin's lymphoma, and I started treatment that same day.
And how are you travelling now?
I'm in remission, 5 years in remission, so woo, go me. But it was the Leukemia Foundation that were there for me. They treat you like family. There was one day I went into the hospital, I had a devastating day, and one of the Leukemia Foundation ladies was there, and she hugged me and cried with me and just rescued me and got me the counselling that I needed. And I couldn't have had that without the donations that people do.
So tell Australia how they can get involved and what you'd like them to do this month.
All right, what you need to do is go to worldsgreatestshave.com, get yourself registered and start fundraising. Ask everyone you know.
Now, it's pretty simple. We've seen Carlos do it here. Carlos, you're looking pretty good. How does it feel?
Feeling good, actually.
Good. Have you ever had your hair shaved off completely?
Yeah, I have.
You have?
No.
And what made you want to shave your eyebrows off as well?
Like I said, I don't have much hair, so I had to pick something to try and get people to donate a bit more money.
I think it's wonderful. It is important. Lauren, with the fundraising, can people donate all year round? Because we were saying this event is an all-year-round event as well. It's not just for the month of March.
It is. I mean, March is the official date, but people do it all year round, and we definitely encourage that. Obviously, we need the money all year round, but this is just the most fun and meaningful event that you can possibly be part of.
So it's fantastic, the work you do. Repeat again for me, for those people at home that may need some support. Okay, they may be new to cancer, they're not quite sure. What sort of cancers do you do? Only leukemia, or can you do
all blood cancers?
Okay.
All blood cancers.
And what do people need to do? What sort of help can you give them if they contact you?
Right, so emotional support, that is a huge one. Because you've got to your head's got to be in the game. You need that push to get through it. That's why they call it fighting cancer. That, transport, accommodation, as well as research. The accommodation's a big one though.
Now, if someone's got big pockets with lots of money, can they just make a donation?
They sure can. They sure can.
What's your website again?
worldsgreatestshave.com.
And we'd love people to get involved. Now, 14th and 15th, what are we doing on those 2 days of March, that is?
Everyone's shaving that day. Not everyone. A lot of people are doing their big shaves that day. That's the culmination of everyone's fundraising.
So we want people to register the event. We want people to raise money. Now, you can do it at your own business. Basically,
absolutely.
you can use a hairdresser or just get a pair of clippers and shave people's hair off and donate a few dollars towards Leukemia Foundation's World's Greatest Shave.
That's right, and it
pretty
doesn't
simple.
have to be shaving.
No. What else can people do? Because I think they can colour their hair as well, can't they?
It's whatever you're comfortable with, but shaving, colouring, ponytails is a huge one. You only need 20 centimetres of a ponytail. So
Could
if
you
you want a
imagine me
cheeky
with
haircut,
ponytail?
I'm sure your hair would make a magnificent wig.
Oh, yeah. Right. I'll keep you to that.
But essentially, it only takes 20 ponytails to make a wig. So if you can get 19 friends, you can say that you've given that to someone.
Look, it is a wonderful charity. Leukemia Foundation's been... Look, I can remember when I was young, you guys were around shaving hair. We've had them on the couch previously for many years. You guys keep doing a great job supporting so many people out there, whether they're families of people with cancer, blood cancer, or the actual patients themselves. It's wonderful having people like yourself that have been through it and understand what you're talking about when people come to see you. You've got the empathy and compassion, but it's also nice to know that people like Jackie, you are doing an amazing job there.
Yeah,
you're actually trying to do it very professionally. So I'm actually quite tempted to come and see you, Jackie. And Carlos, are you feeling still good? Where's all your eyebrows gone? They're gone.
I want a mirror.
Now, if people want a little bit more shaved, Jackie, would you ever say, oh, yes, okay, we can do that? Or would you say, no, only the head?
Well, it'd probably just
No
be the head.
underarms or anything like that?
Oh, God, no.
Unless you donate a lot more money to the Leukemia
there's
Foundation.
always a price.
Look, you guys are wonderful. Thank you for coming in today. Time flies. Again, tell us where your shop is, Jackie.
So we're Rouse and O'Connor Hair, and we're on Kent Street in Rockingham, down on the foreshore.
Carlos, last words from you. Urge the people looking at that camera in the middle there. Tell us why people need to get involved.
It's a very good cause. I encourage everybody to do it. You have a bit of fun at the same time. Obviously, like we're having in here today. Just get involved. You're helping a lot of people, a lot of good people. Just get involved.
Well done, and thank you for coming in today, both of you. And please support these people because they're doing a great job as well. Lauren, any last words from you?
Go to worldsgreatestshave.com, sign up, and let's change some lives.
And you can also call the World's Greatest Shave on 1800 500 088. That's 1800 500 088. Now, if you missed any of this, watch it on our Facebook, thecouch.com.au, and you can watch it all over again and get all the key information, websites, etc. Thank you for coming in. Good luck with this year's event.
Thank you.
And big things are happening, and we'll catch up with you very soon back on the couch. That is it from us today, folks. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the show. Next week, another big show. I'm actually talking to the Melanoma Foundation next week. They've got a great thing happening as well, and we need to help them as well. We do support lots of charities. Get in touch if you need some support, and we love doing it. It's wonderful. It's natural, I think, to help others. Have a wonderful week, Australia. Keep smiling. Bye for now. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next week on the couch. Bye for now.